ladies and gentlemen, excuse me for my tardiness. I had some things that I really had to get together, but I'm here now. So I appreciate you all for being patient as I, get some things together. We got a crew here, and we're gonna break down some season grades for the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna start with the starters, or begin with the starters. I guess that's a better way to say it. We're gonna begin with the starters today. Wednesday, we're gonna do the bench and situational players. And then on Thursday, we're going to do the coaching staff, the front office, and we'll give out like MVP, MIP, sixth man of the year, all that kind of stuff, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so let's go ahead and get this thing started. We got the crew in the building, so we're going to make this thing right, ladies and gentlemen. We got Steph, we got Tony Crow, we got DJ Shuttle. We're going to go ahead and get this thing on and popping. Steph, how you feeling today? What's popping?
Yeah, I feel really good. It's always good when the gang gets together again. Looking forward to this show for sure.
Yeah. This is going to be it's going to be a fun one. I guess a little bit of a precursor to Keep 'em or Dump 'em. Keep 'em or Dump 'em is that's the one right there. You know what I mean? Tony, what's up, man?
Peace, Kings. Peace, Queen. Shout out to the chat. Yo, Black, it's time. I'm ready. Let's give these grades out.
Yeah, and you can see we're starting with Jalen Brunson. It's already on the screen. But DJ Shuttle, what's popping, bro?
Yeah, all aboard. We here. Play him or slay him. You heard? We're going to get to that soon. But right now, we're going to talk about some reviews and all that. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, no doubt. So let's start with, or begin with, Jalen Brunson. Oh, actually, before we get to Jalen Brunson, you see his stuff on the screen. We're going to talk about it. But Carmelo Anthony retired today. You know what I mean? And, let's just do some quick thoughts on how you feel about Melo retiring, his career, his time with the Knicks, and all that stuff. And then, we can go on from there. Steph, just some quick thoughts on Melo.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I got the news late because I haven't been on Twitter, a lot. So I got the news late. I was a little disappointed. I would have. A lot of the guys that I liked just didn't go out the way I wanted them to go out. Allen Iverson is one of them. Melo is another one of them. And I'm not quite sure, what it's about. I would have liked to have seen him go out actually on a roster.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. He's one of my favorite Knicks, one of my favorite players, actually. Watching him play is like poetry in motion, on the offensive end. And it's just, it's just sad to see him go. Like I knew him,
Yeah, you know what I mean? I really wanted Melo to go out as a Knick, get that,
No doubt.
get that final tour across the league as a New York Knick. That would have been beautiful, man. Tony?
Yeah, I agree, man. I would have loved that for Melo and for us. Queen, you talked about, how he went out as far as like not playing, not on a team. But I'm gonna talk about the way he went out in his exit video and how classy it is. And I feel like that's been him as a Knick. You know what I mean? Through all the ups and downs, through all the struggles, through all the, fans liking him and fans not liking him. You know what I mean? He always stayed classy.
Yeah.
And then, so I gotta say, what a way to go out, man. Like that was a classy video. Nothing corny about it. Like just straight class.
Genuine. You know what I mean? No doubt about it. It was real genuine. You know what I'm saying? It was Melo. That's how Melo always been. Always professional, always kind of classy. You know what I mean? As he got over some early bumps in his career, Ja Morant could do good with sitting down and talking to Melo and getting over some of these early bumps in his career.
Yeah.
And how Melo did it. DJ Shuttle, man. Melo.
Yeah, I gotta admit, like, I think Melo is definitely a great player. I think he was really, really good on the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
Coming to the Knicks the way he did, like wanting to be here, being originally from New York. Like, there's so much to love, but I gotta be honest, not one of my favorite all-time players. But I do think he was a really, really good Knick. And I really was looking forward to the opportunity of him potentially coming back to do it last year with the team. You know,
Right.
I was definitely with that, and that would have been great for the organization. Just the representation of how that looks in the league. You know how you treat your guys,
Right.
and being that there wasn't really too much on terms of OGs and senior leadership amongst the players, I thought the team could have used it. A guy like Randle having to get someone like someone like Melo in the locker room would have been great.
Yeah. No doubt about
And
that.
we all got to go at some point. So, Melo's a prideful guy. So, I was like, we ain't gonna drag this. I'm out. And to Tone's point, he's definitely been super classy through all the ups and downs with management, organization, fans. So, nothing but positive, words for Melo, and definitely blessings for him and the rest of his, life after basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're exactly right about the pride thing, man. Melo was, he wasn't just gonna jump on any team just to win a championship or do anything like that. He had his pride, and he, did everything. I thought, did everything with integrity. So, and that's the way that he, ended his career. Just, all right, you know what? You're not gonna pick me up. I ain't gonna beg. I'm not gonna do whatever. I'm gonna do me. And, this is how I'm gonna go out. So, yeah, congrats to Melo, man. I would have loved to see him do a farewell tour with the Knicks, but that's most likely not gonna happen unless Leon Rose gets there and begs him to do, a finishing tour with the Knicks or something like that. But I doubt it. Melo's gonna, I'm sure he's got business plans, ventures, and wants to watch what his son's gonna do with his basketball career and all of that. So, big shout out to Melo. I'm gonna miss him, man. For me, he's probably behind Patrick Ewing. He's one of he might be my second best favorite Knick, for real. I know he didn't do the things that Pat did here, but I just liked Melo. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Anyway, let's go ahead and get in. I do have this one story. I remember one time, man, me and my daughter went down to Nickelodeon Day in DC, right? And Melo was there. Like giving out autographs and doing stuff like that. And I had her on my shoulders, and I was like, Melo's right there. Take a picture of Melo. She takes a picture, and when I get the picture is of a boy band that was there instead of Melo. And I was like, what happened? She was like, I didn't know who it was. I was like, man, I pointed them out to you. You want to take a picture of that boy band. But, it was all good. It's funny. Now, anyway, let's get on to these report cards, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to start with Jalen Brunson, the guard the Knicks signed during the offseason. Break down some of the season highlights and all of that and give him a grade. All right? When you look at Brunson from 21 and 22 to 22-23, man, his points per game went up from 16.3 points per game to 24 points per game. All right? And really, he's obviously it comes from more usage, but he only went up another 3 minutes per game, right? But it comes from more usage. 24 points per game. His rebounds went from 3.9 to 3.5. His assists from 4.8 to 6.2. But with the increased usage and the increased amount of minutes and the more shot attempts, his field goal percentage really didn't budge. He went from 50.2%, 21-22, 49.1%, 22-23. That's not much of a difference, right? His 3-point percentage went up from 37.3 to 41.6. Free throw percentage almost the same, 84 to 83. And of course, his minutes went up by 3 minutes per game. Season highlights. He averaged the highest points per game in his career. He scored a career high 48 points versus the Cavs. Playoff career high 41 points versus Miami. He averaged 27.8 points per game, 5.6 assists, and 4.9 rebounds in the playoffs. And he was an MIP finalist. Steph, I'll start with you, man. Your thoughts on Jalen Brunson this season, and what kind of grade do you give him? And we're gonna take all of our
Well,
grades, put it together, as well as the
right.
chat's grade, and give him a final grade from us.
Well, he exceeded my expectations. I thought he would be good for us.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he would be this good. Um, and he had some stretches during the regular season where I was like, wow, I think we got one here. And I just like the poise that he played with, the leadership he showed for the team. I think they respected him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you know, you know, they respected him in the locker room. And he was just steady. Like you could just count on him game in and game out to pretty much give you the same thing. And what I was really impressed with is, in the playoffs, he was able to step it up some, and that doesn't always happen. And I was really interested in seeing him in the playoff. I saw him with Dallas, and I said, but I want to see him with the Knicks. I want to see what he can do with the Knicks. And he single-handedly sometimes just kept the Knicks in the game. Not that he didn't have support, don't get me wrong, but just single-handedly kept the Knicks in games. So, for me, it's an A plus 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 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just really like this guy. And another thing I'll add to him is something about somebody who just comes out of the mud. And I'm not talking about in terms of his background, or anything like that, but I'm just talking about in terms of athletically, always had doubts about him.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was questions about whether he can even be a starting point guard in the NBA. He got drafted in the second round. I don't know. I don't know if it's a negative wingspan, but his wing, he just doesn't have those physical attributes.
Right.
And it's just a great story to just see somebody just work their way up to being, by the time his career is over, probably one of the best players in the league, or one of the best point guards right now. So that part of it is also good to see.
Yeah. It's not. I think his drive. There's a lot of talk about Jimmy Butler right now, right? And because of the way that Jimmy Butler is playing in the playoffs and all of those type of things. But he wasn't a guy that anyone thought was going to be what he is right now. And a lot of it came from his background, if you know his story, about him, being homeless and having to live with, another family and so on and so forth, and I guess it just kind of gave him this drive to work as hard as he can, that kind of work ethic. And I know Jalen Brunson doesn't have that kind of a background. His background is different. But because he's been underrated, it seems, his entire career, he has that same kind of drive. You know what I mean? That he's always feels like he's got to prove somebody else wrong. You know what I mean? I feel you. And I'm going A, B, C, D like that.
Okay.
Because I'm using the poll in the chat going A, B, C, D, it's kind of hard to do A plus B,
Right.
and get that whole thing. So, so I'm assuming you're giving them a name.
Yes, for sure.
Tony Brunson, thoughts on Brunson?
Man, that's an easy A. Whoever in the chat put a B needs to call in and explain themselves. Got some explaining to do. I can't, even if you have your limitations with Brunson, there's no way. I mean, I would assume you're grading him off of expectation as well, right? And I think he exceeded everyone's expectation.
Right.
Even the people who championed the move. So, if you didn't champion the move, I'm sure he exceeded your expectation because he exceeded the expectation of the people who wanted the move. So, easy A. Carried the team. I mean, there's not much more to explain after Queen and after what we've seen. Like, what else could he have done? Right. Carried us at times.
Right.
You know what I mean? Leadership. It's gonna be. I mean, now it's really like, all right, now the expectation. Like, we see what you're capable of.
Yeah.
What else can you do?
What else can you do?
Know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? Right. And when you look at these playoffs, man, well, I'll wait until we get to DJ Shuttle. Shuttle, your thoughts on Brunson and your grade?
Yeah, well, for everybody, I probably have a name that I'll give them. That's one of the things that I do. I'll give people names, not just players, but all the time. So he's clearly Mr. Consistent and Mr. Reliable. As was said, he overexceeded expectations. So, I mean, a player that does that, you have to give an A. He was clutch at the end of games. And on top of that, where we grade players for their level of star power and greatness is, well, what did you do in the playoffs? So not only did he do it last year, he came back as a starter, had an incredible season, was clutch all season pretty much. And then when the playoffs came, he was super clutch and raised his numbers up. And I mean, like anything less than an A, regardless of his bad defense, I'm sorry, I can't even see it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with it 100%. You know, I can't see not giving him an A. In the chat, 88% of the people say A, 12% say B. I can't understand how you can give this man a B. Right? I don't get it. You know what I mean? He took his points per game up 8 points, and his shooting percentage didn't get worse. You know what I mean? How can you actually give this man anything lower than an A? I guess my question I want to ask you all is Jalen Brunson a franchise-type guard? Can you build your franchise around Jalen Brunson, do you think? Anybody can go first.
I think it's obvious, seeing that he already has the capability of bringing us that close, without shots being fired, but relatively by himself. You know what I mean? Or with minimal help. And if he can do that, I mean, my optimism is saying, okay, what if Randle showed up? You know what I mean? Like RJ was good throughout the series for the most part. So I can't really. But what if he showed up that last game? You know what I mean? Like it's things that I'm telling myself, like, yo, we weren't that far off. You know what I mean? We weren't that far away, and so yeah, man, he's looking like the franchise point guard for us.
I guess. I mean, in my opinion, he looks like a franchise point guard. You know, with the things that he's been able to do, and with defenses, with the Miami defense cued in on Jalen Brunson. He dropped 38 points in their win at the Garden in Game 5, and then 41 points in Game 6, with the defense getting doubled and triple teamed. You know, before he can even catch the basketball, he's getting double teamed, and he still drops 41 points. You know, that's pretty crazy stuff right there. Steph, do you think he's franchise player?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say yes. I think this is what Brunson has been getting. Like, I gotta see this and I gotta see that. I'm like, franchise, I don't know, but yes, yeah, he is. He is. At some point, you just got to give it up and just go all the way in. I'm all the way in as far as that's concerned. I think somebody said superstar. I'm like, super. Come on, super. But you know what?
I mean, if he's a franchise player, I mean, he got to be a superstar.
I gotta get on that train.
Yeah, and you know, I bring up that about Miami because when you look at Julius Randle in a couple years ago, right, and he had that season in the playoffs, Atlanta, played some, they played some real tough defense on him, and kind of zoned it up, hammered it home on Randle, this and that. And then people were able to bring that into the season the next year and played and make Randle struggle. Right? Well, Miami tried some defenses against Brunson, and they still weren't able to stop him. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if teams try to do this next year, you say, well, maybe next year someone's going to find a way to shut him down after they had all of this tape on Brunson and what he does with the Knicks, so on and so forth. Well, Miami had all of this tape. You see what they're doing right now, and they weren't able to stop Jalen Brunson. He was still giving them buckets. You know what I mean? Yeah, the dude is tough.
And you know what, Sam? And I was going to ask you, do you think it's the fact that, Randle is a power forward and he plays in limited space. And so, it's easy, to trap him and easy, to crowd him. But then when you look at Tatum and Brown, they're not playing in limited space.
Yeah.
And look what Miami was able to do.
Right.
Right. To them.
Right. I mean, I think that could be part of it. And Randle doesn't have a mid-range jump shot, not a consistent one. So if teams are playing, they're queuing in on him, he doesn't really have a mid-range jump shot that he can fall back on, in my opinion. That's going to allow him to still score buckets. You know what I mean? Where Brunson, I think he gets the luxury of getting screens for him, but also he's just hitting tough buckets. Just tough shots. You know what I mean? Shutter, what's your thoughts, man?
Steph, you got a point. It's like when can he just get his kudos, right?
Right.
I think
even I'm like, franchise.
Yeah, you have two different kind of franchise players. Like you have the just give him the ball. It doesn't matter who he's playing with, he'll figure it out, make the team great kind of franchise player. And then you have he's a franchise player, but you got to have the right players around him kind of franchise player. I think he falls more into the latter. So I'd say fringe franchise.
Okay. All right.
And you got to do it for more than one season for me to.
That's true. That's true.
In the words of Bill Parcells, we're not going to put you in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Just that.
I mean, that's true. I believe you got to do it for more than one season too. But when I look at the way that that teams have tried to shut him down, and he still gets his. You know what I mean? But overall, Brunson got a grading of an A, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at the chat, you look at us here. We gave Julius Randle. We gave Jalen Brunson an A. All right. The chat, 91% of the chat gave him an A, and we gave him an A. So there you go. Jalen Brunson gets an A for the season, and the season and the playoffs, of course. Right. The season and the playoffs, Jalen Brunson gets an A. Let's move on to R.J. Barrett. All right. R.J. Barrett struggled for a good portion of the season, right? He averaged 20 points per game. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Well, he did average 20 points per game, but in 21-22, he averaged 20 points per game. In 22-23, didn't really dip much. It went from 20 to 19.6. I think people would probably have hoped that, it went up to 22 points per game or something like that, but his three-point shooting wasn't there this season. Rebounds went down from 5.8 to 5. Assists went down from 3 to 2.8. Field goal percentage actually went up from 40.8 to 43.4, but his three-point field goal percentage went down from 34.2 to 31. His free throw percentage went up from 71.4 to 74, and his minutes per game went from 34.5 to 33.9. Season highlights, like I said, besides a few spots, he kind of struggled throughout the season, but he did average 19.3 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, 2.8 assists in the playoffs, and 19.3 points is his, playoff career high. He's only been in the playoffs twice, right? But, you look at his playoff averages, it's, pretty similar to his regular season averages. All right. Your thoughts on R.J. Barrett for the season? Steph, I'll come back and start with you.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I thought despite the 19.6 points in the regular season, I thought he really struggled to kind of find his way in the offense, and I wasn't quite sure what that was about. Was that with, because we had Brunson and Randle, him trying to find his way. I just thought his floor game wasn't great. Tunnel vision, just not making the right decisions, not making the right passes. 3-point shooting went south. But one thing I always appreciated about him in the regular season is that he never shied away from a big shot in the fourth quarter, and he would hit them as well. So this was a guy who never really got down on himself, even when he wasn't shooting the ball. Well, this is like a C regular season, A postseason. I guess I gotta go with a B, and it begs the question: how much of a postseason do you have to drag your score up? Because that regular season wasn't great. So I'm gonna say B, but it still doesn't change my opinion of what I think the Knicks should do going into next season. And I know that's a separate discussion, but I'll say B.
Yeah, it is a tough one with RJ, man. Definitely a tough one. Tony, RJ.
I'm going B too as well. I really wish we were going with the plus and minuses and all that. But to your credit, Queen, I feel the same way. The regular season, looked a certain way, but because of his, I'll say, emergence in the playoffs, it has to bring that score right back up. You know what I mean? And then even with all that being said, you think about his usage rate went down. His numbers didn't drop as much as I actually anticipated. So a lot of his bad play during the regular season was really just the 3-point shooting more than anything else, in my opinion. I think that was the glaring hole. But other than that, I think he did solid with the redefined role, if you will, with Brunson's arrival. And then, like I said, the playoffs, it changed the dynamic of, what the grade would have been after the regular season and then including the playoffs.
Yeah. DJ Shuttle?
Yeah. RJ, definitely thankful for your player performance, because I had the car warmed up with ready to load your bags in the trunk. Paul was definitely warmed up. But to RJ's credit, man, like I always say, like his best ability is his mental ability. He'll have some bad games, he'll bounce back. He have, a slump, he bounce back. It's the playoffs, he finds a way to, he's having a bad game, shoots, will take fourth quarter shots like Steph said. And so, like, it's hard to really to give up on a player like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed in these playoffs when he was a little shaky to start, then he got his groove. I mean, he didn't finish really strong against Miami, but still overall, his collective body of work in the playoffs is encouraging, and as I just thought more and more about the team, I just think RJ is very, in his heart of hearts, is an unselfish player. And because the team plays such a quote unquote ISO selfish kind of brand of basketball, it kind of puts him in the mind frame to start doing things that's really not his nature. And if the team was moving the ball, whipping it around more like how Miami's doing, where every player on the team is a star, if you will, and has the opportunity to make plays, create plays, I think if he had better flow, I think he would excel more. So, I would love to give him a C plus or B minus. It's hard for me to give him a B. So I'm gonna have to stay with the C, because I need more consistency. And you can't just show up in the playoffs, but I can't rely on you most of the season and not feel comfortable, not knowing what I'm gonna get. At this point, you're number 3 pick, 4 years in. I gotta know what I'm gonna get on a consistent basis, not this up and down flow.
Okay. I'm as far as RJ and the way that he played during the season, I mean, I'm at like a C with the way that he played during the season too, right? During the season. it wasn't just the 3-point shooting that bothered me. You know, like Steph was saying, it was just some of the other decision making. Just some of the other things, and I'm like, man, what is RJ doing? That would frustrate me sometimes. And I understand. He's trying to figure some things out. His role on the team and all of that kind of stuff. But I just, I would get frustrated, and in the playoffs, he found the rhythm, but some of it was weird because the same moves that he was doing in the regular season, where he was getting his shot blocked, and he just couldn't convert those layups, he was converting them in the playoffs.
Right.
You know what I mean? I don't know if he found something. Did he find something against Miami that was like, oh yeah, I can. I'm able to get this off every time against them. I don't know, but he found a way to do it in the playoffs. And, in the playoffs, I don't know if I give him an A in the playoffs. His numbers
Hey,
were.
Sim, I just want to say he found it against Cleveland in Game 3. You know what I mean? He found it and then extended it to Miami. I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah. In Miami, I think against Miami, I definitely give him an A. Against Miami, because some of those games we wouldn't even have been in the game if it wasn't for RJ, because Randle hadn't shown up. Brunson, of course, was there, but there were some times when RJ was carrying the team. I thought for stretches, and did some really good things. So against Miami, I think I'm more of a B with him in the playoffs. So I kind of agree with Shuttle, giving him a C+. But we can only go A, B, C, or D. Kind of tough. I think I'll go with the C+, give him a C. So it's looking like, the chat's giving him a B. Here we probably average out to like a B-. So looks like he'd probably get a B for his grade for the season. You know what I mean? And I really hope that RJ, that the playoffs, really gave him confidence, and he feels like, that he can really get things done on a high level. You know what I mean?
The playoffs should be his floor. The Game 3 through Miami, Game 3 Cleveland through Miami series, that should be the floor of what we get from RJ 8, 9 out of 10 games.
Right.
It can't be Game 6.
5 games he's like that, then 5 games he's slumping, and then 7 games he's good, and then 4 games what's he doing? Like that's the part why I it's hard for me to give him a B, because a B it's like above average, higher level of consistency, dependency, reliability, and it's too much question marks for what I'm gonna get from RJ. Yeah, when you total the numbers up at the end, sure, but the up and down is not what I need for me to give you a B.
Okay. I think the big thing is, with him showing up in the playoffs, though. I think that's big, though. You know what I mean?
Indeed.
That's big.
60% of the grade.
Yeah, that's a big part of your grade. You know what I mean?
That's like the final grade.
You said that's the Regents. The playoffs is
that's the Regents exam right there. That's a big part of your grade, man. Being able to show up in the playoffs, because
40% regular season percentage, 60% playoffs.
Right.
Okay. I got it.
So RJ looks like RJ has a grade of a B for the season. Not bad. I think I'm hoping that RJ, like I said, I hope that he's able to look at what he did in the playoffs, especially against the Miami Heat, with the way that their defense was in the playoffs, and be able to take that, build on it. You know what I'm saying? And really look at it and say, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to get better? Where is it? You know what I mean?
We doing keep him or dumping him too, right? That's gonna be a separate.
That's gonna be some separate shows. Yeah. Oh, those are going to be explosive. You already know that. Those keeping my doubles is going to be explosive.
We might have to do one play at a time.
We might,
son. One play at a
we might
time.
have to do one play at a time. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna save Randall for last on that one. I don't know. I probably won't, but that's gonna be yeah. You already know how that one's gonna be, man. Whew. All right, let's go to so RJ gets a grade of a B. The chat gave him a grade for the most part. Let me see. 3% gave RJ an A. And then you got, hold on. 3% of the chat gave RJ an A. He got a B from 56% of the chat, a C from 36% of the chat, and a D from 5% of the chat.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't see why he would get a D. You know, I don't know about that one. All right, let's move on to Mitchell Robinson. Mitchell Robinson. 21-22 to 22-23 points per game, went from 8.5 to 7.4, but his rebounds went up from 8.6 to 9.4. Blocks, for the most part, stayed the same. His field goal percentage went from 76.1% to 67%. Doesn't shoot threes. His field goal percentage went from 48. His free throw percentage went from 48.6 to 48.4. Played 27 minutes per game this season, about a minute more than he did last season. You know, season highlights for Robinson, you know, career high in rebounds per game. He's considered to be one of the best offensive rebounders in the game. He hit clutch free throws in the playoffs. I gotta put that on his season highlights, right? Because those free throws were super duper clutch. You know what I mean? And then he had several playoff career highs as well from Mitchell Robinson. And I'll look at some of those. Let's see. Mitchell Robinson. Let's look at some highs for Mitchell Robinson. Minutes played versus Cleveland, 36 minutes. He had 13 points versus the Cavs. That's a playoff career high. 18 rebounds against the Cavs. That was a playoff career high. 3 assists versus the Cavs, a playoff career high. 2 steals versus the Cavs. 4 blocks versus the Cavs. Those are both playoff career highs. 11 rebounds. 11 offensive rebounds, 9 defensive rebounds. They're all playoff career highs versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. He didn't have those same performances against Miami, but, you know, Miami was a much better team and, you know, much better coached than the Cleveland Cavaliers. But, you know, bunches of career highs. Well, obviously, it's the first time in the playoffs, so I guess everything was going to be a career high, right, for Mitchell Robinson. But your thoughts on Mitch, Steph?
Yeah, this is a tough one. But I'm feeling generous. I'm gonna give Mitch a B. Yeah, I regular season I thought he was okay. Up and down, the usual Mitch. You know, he'll have some games where you like, whoa, all right, this is this guy's ceiling. I see it now. And then he goes back to being regular Mitch. I thought in Cleveland he was phenomenal. I just thought the way him and Hartenstein, both of them outplayed Allen and Mobley. But I just think in Miami with guys that weren't that tall, he just and maybe he might have been a bit injured. There was some mention of that. He just didn't have the impact I thought he would have. You know, Bam is what, 5'6", 8, 6'9". Kevin Love is like 200 years old. I just really expected a bit more from Mitch in that Miami series. And, you know, what he does for us is a big part of how we score or our formula for scoring.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically neutralized Mitch and basically took him out of the series. Even blocks, you know, I think he averaged less than a block a game in that series.
Right.
I wish we could do like a C plus B minus, but because we can't, I'm a reluctantly say B, but I mean real reluctant. He's closer to a C
Yeah, I mean,
but
if you want to
he was
do,
huge in
like
Cleveland.
because it's just four of us. If you want to say C plus, and then we'll take everybody's thing and just round it up to the, round it up, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna say C plus for
Hmm.
Mitch. Everything,
Okay.
the season, and the playoffs
In the
together. I'm gonna say
playoffs.
C plus for Mitch.
Okay. All right, Tony.
Oh man, I gotta go B minus, and a lot of that is based off of the regular season. I mean, or should I say, he's in the B range because of his playoffs,
Hmm.
but his regular season really would have put him somewhere in the D plus range because I don't think he expanded any particular area of his game. Even though I'm on record as saying he's a guy that just needs to dominate the things that he's great at, and he'll be okay here. But the playoffs, I think he did that in round one. You know what I mean? And he showed if he dominates his role, it doesn't really necessarily need to expand. He can make an impact on this team, being who he is and doing what he does great. And the funny thing is, I think the same can be said about the second round, but only in reverse, because in his absence, when he's not being who he is and dominant, it's hard for us to win. It's a struggle. He's a vital part of what we do. And a lot of it had to do with him being neutralized. I think early foul trouble, getting him out the game, limiting his minutes and things of that nature, or just if his overall minutes weren't limit, his time, his rhythm, you know what I mean, and that thing, and then worried about foul trouble throughout the series in Miami, it just really hurt us. So just showing his impact when he is effective and when he isn't, and showing the importance he is to what we do, I'm giving him a B minus.
So overall, B minus. Okay. Um, Shuttle.
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna the chat has to go A, B, or C or D. So I'm just gonna keep in line with the chat. And Mitch is somewhere between the C and the B for me, but if I'm forced to give a B or a C, I have to give him a C. Um, to your point, Tone, like I'm all for being a star in your role, but to me, he wasn't a star in his role. He was, I mean, considering everything else that you don't do, I mean, you're above average at offensive rebounding, but overall, we need more. We need more rebounds. We need more block shots. We need higher IQ. We need better defense. I need all of that for you to only score 8 points a game and shoot 48% from the foul line.
Mm.
I need more. I need more, man. Like I needed at least Clayton Capella, a little bit of moves around the hoop, a little bit of better foul shooting, a little bit more physicality and smart staying in the games, like for me to be able to give this guy a B. So I'm gonna have to put him at a C.
Now let me ask this: with some of the stuff that we mentioned about Mitch, his his ability to score is one of them. With some of the things that we mentioned, right? How much is it Mitchell Robinson or Tom Thibodeau not using him? How much is it?
I think
Right.
it's a mixture of all of the above. I think they don't necessarily look for him. You know what I mean? I think we've seen it the most this year. You know what I mean? Where we've seen him seal a little bit and then get the ball in the post, but that's rare.
Mhm.
And the fact that he's not a guy that creates for himself, he's limited to where his points are going to come from. To Shuttle's point, if he could raise that free throw percentage, or even to the point where he's confident and comfortable, I think that changes things. Because I think it's human nature. If you know you're not a good free throw shooter, You know what I mean? Now you're second guessing whether even to take some shots at times. You know what I mean? So he has his limitations, 100%. But I think it's a mixture of guys do have to look for him a little bit more, and coach and the players. You know what I mean? Like if he's available and he's running the floor, which he does probably 85-75% of the time, sprinting. You know what I mean? You gotta feed the big man. He get a good play down with a block, feed the big man. So I think that has to be some type of the mentality for the team.
Yeah.
You gotta. I don't know where I'm from. Where I'm from, you get the ball whenever you get it, and you show your value. And it's like, oh, all right, yo, you saw what he did, yo. We gotta start getting him the ball more. You don't need coaches to tell you that, and the player doesn't have to say, hey, give me the ball more. When you get the ball and you have opportunities and you do something with it, and you look comfortable and you look like you're confident, then I'm gonna get you to rob. But he don't look comfortable. He don't look confident. He gets the ball. He makes no moves. I'm not giving you the ball. I don't blame him.
I mean, I think we can definitely do a better job getting some more lob opportunities for Mitch.
Yeah.
That's it. I just don't think he has an offensive game. And I think this is Mitch's 5th year in the league. I think the longer you're in the league, you got to start thinking that this is who the guy is going to be. I think Mitchell Robinson has basically, this is his ceiling. He's going to have some games in which you're like, whoa, you see the potential in this guy, but he just doesn't live there. He's able to get there a few times throughout the season, maybe 10 games. But in terms of living there, that's not Mitchell. That's not Mitchell Robinson. I appreciate what he does for us in terms of defense. But if you get a stronger perimeter defender team, Mitch is expendable, right? He's huge for us because we don't have those perimeter defenders. You get those perimeter defenders, now that opens up in terms of what you're able to do at that center spot.
Yeah. You know, it's a tough thing with Mitch, man, because I do feel like we've seen everything that he's going to give us offensively. I do feel like that. I don't feel like, you know, one day we're going to see him, you know, executing some post moves or shooting a mid-range shot. I don't feel like it's going to happen. You know, he's so hesitant, even in this Miami series. And part of it is because he never gets the ball in position to be able to score, right? Or you know, he's not looked for in those positions. But I feel like this just means that he hasn't shown that he's going to do it consistently, right? Neither in practice or in games. Because when he was against Miami, you know, he had the ball down there in the post, and it took him like a second to realize, like, okay, they're waiting for me to do something. Let me do something. You know what I mean? And, you know, then he made a move, and it looks like he could make moves. I just don't know if he's confident enough to really try and do it and build upon it. You know what I mean? So I do feel like we've probably seen what we're going to see from Mitch offensively. Maybe you can, you know, like Steph said, utilize the pick and roll a little bit more. But for the most part, I think that's all you're going to see. It's the pick and roll and the, you know, him catching the ball in the dunker spot for dunks. You know,
I gotta give a little bit of pushback because this year we did see him post up, him seal in the post, and them look for him. I don't think that was by accident. So I think it has been shown a little bit, or even, if you will, worked on, you know what I mean, with the coaching staff a little bit. You know what I mean? I just think it's not there yet. So but to say that we won't, I disagree, only because we've seen it maybe 10 times throughout the season. That's not a lot. You know
that's,
what I mean?
that's what I'm saying, though. I mean,
a very
Throughout
small
the season or his career?
No, this year. I'm saying. So the fact that we've seen it more this year than we've ever seen, I think that it has to have been something that was implemented, whether it was from I mean, I think it has to be from the coaching staff. You know what I mean, or something he's shown, and then they seen, and then now again, it's not like you're gonna see him go to the post with Embiid there and try to. It's been strategic. It's been when
Yeah.
a smaller guy is on him, or they have a small center you know what I mean, who's on him. So
I,
again,
I remember seeing a few times where he's deep in the post, and they found him when if they had someone small on him, and basically so that he could go up and dunk it. You know what I'm saying? But I haven't seen where he has somebody, another legitimate center on him, and they're posting him up and say, "Hey, we're gonna get you the ball to try to go and get you a bucket." And
I
times
agree.
that he's gone off the dribble, which we did see that a few times this year, it was really out of necessity. You know what I'm saying? That he went off the dribble, but he did show that he could do that. I just don't know if he's. I don't know if they're gonna be looking at him to say,
I don't think it'll be a
I don't know.
staple of his game.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
mean?
But I feel like it's something that could be utilized based off of matchups and based off of
Yeah.
lineups. You know what I mean?
The issue is, I feel like, and this is not just with this team. I feel like with any team that we have, right? With the way the league is, we need someone from that position that can help spread the floor out.
No doubt. No doubt.
You know what I mean? No matter who you have on the team, I think you gotta have someone who can do that nowadays. There's especially with teams playing zone now, and the way teams like Miami can play zone. You gotta have guys that can shoot. And be able to move around and get into the crevices of the zone. You know what I mean? If you don't, you're doing yourself a disservice, I think. But
And I don't know if how. Oh, sorry,
no,
Sam.
go ahead. No, I was
I don't know
going to
how-
give my grade, so go ahead.
I don't. Oh, you didn't give your grade. Go ahead. I gave mine.
Yeah, I mean, for the season, I'm probably somewhere around a C+ for the season. Because there were a lot of games where I thought he went missing. Against Cleveland is a definite A. Against Miami, I really thought he was non-existent besides Game 5. You know what I mean? And Bam just, there was nothing that he could do. So I guess overall I'm somewhere around a C+ for him. And I think that's where everybody is, kind of in the C+ range. And in the chat right now, 49% give him a C. 49% give him a C. 47% give him a B. So we're around that C+ range with Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? So but it looks. Now it's kind of tied, but it looks like it's going to be around a C, for Mitch, for the season, including the playoffs. But go ahead, Steph.
I was saying I don't think Mitch is comfortable on the offensive end. Like they were playing a zone. He and there was a big opening at the free throw line. He got to the free throw line. He got the ball. He didn't even turn around with it. It was just like, who can I give the ball to? I just don't think he's comfortable on the offensive end. And I'm not sure if that's gonna ever come around. And to Tony's point, if you're not gonna be offensive minded, then you gotta be beasting on the defensive end, like really changing the game, like how he played in Cleveland. That got to be regular,
right?
if you're not bringing much on the offensive end,
right? Yeah, and I went ahead and just put a C+ up there. Gave him a C+. Okay. So Mitchell Robinson with a C+ for the season. I really would like to see Mitch work on his game. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I would love to see it. Because for so long, I've felt like that Mitch has not really trained with adequate trainers. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I've always felt a little funny about the trainers that he's been with, been training with and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I don't want to see any 3-point shooting summer videos. I don't want to see that.
Nah,
I
seriously.
want to see footwork. I want to see post moves. I want to see footwork. I want to see post moves, and I want to see you working on your dribble. Because anytime he gets the ball, if he puts it down, you pass it to him. I'm nervous about what he's gonna do, how he's gonna hand it off, how he's gonna pass it. I'm like, yo, please don't give him the ball at the top of the key. Stop doing that. It makes me nervous. I cringe.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, it's like a hot potato with Mitch.
Nah, no doubt about it. I agree with you 100%.
I want
to see.
I want him actually training or getting lessons from other players. Unfortunately, I think the two guys that I would want him to kind of take a look at or work with are still playing. So and then
who's that?
The off season
Embiid. Embiid.
No. Actually, Bam and AD. I think those are the two guys that I would want Mitch kind of working with.
Bam and
I
AD?
mean, he started with many lessons with AD coming into the NBA season anyway. So I feel like why not continue that? You know what I mean? Like continue that relationship. I never heard anything about it since he's been in the league, but
because AD was like, this guy ain't got it.
Yeah, I
I ain't spending my time. What's the sense of working out with him? We don't do the same things.
That's I mean, the most of the things that he learned from AD was defensively anyway. And we're talking about a guy who, I mean, he's been great defensively in the playoffs. So I think there's still more to learn. And so I'm looking at him on a defensive perspective more than an offensive perspective.
What about DeAndre Jordan? I know he never really became a great offensive player, right? But he developed later. Now he started off a lot like Mitch, and then later on in his career, you know what I mean? Because that was a big, question mark about him. You know what I mean? Could he develop any kind of a game? And he started to, work on his post game a little bit, and he developed at least a little bit of a post game. Never really any kind of a jump shot, but the only reason why I mentioned him is because he's been in Mitch's shoes.
I think the biggest thing he could learn from DeAndre Jordan is more of thinking the game, and that could help him offensively as well. Like just learning how to work with those attributes and things of that nature. But he's not a bad guy too. I think he learned. I think his biggest improvement came under the tutelage of DeAndre Jordan. He kind of learned how to stay on the floor. He learned how to not jump for every block and impact shots without necessarily blocking them. You know what I mean? So I think that correlates to DeAndre Jordan's presence on the Knicks. So I don't think that's a bad guy to work with either.
If I may, Tony, give you some stats. DeAndre Jordan, 13.6 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. Next season, 15 boards.
What year was that? His rookie year?
No. That's year 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's year 6.
Okay.
Year 6, 13.6 boards, 2.5 blocks. Following season, 15 boards, 2.2 blocks. Following season, 13.8 boards, 2.3 blocks. Next season, 13.8 boards. Next season, 15 boards, 13 boards.
Well, how many? This is Ayton?
This is DeAndre Jordan.
Oh! I was about to sound like how many years?
You going back to high school?
Pee Wee League. No, but you did say DeAndre Jordan, right?
Yeah, DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, yo, cool. Don't score. Shoot 48% from the line. But that's the level of dominance in the paint that I need. Those are the numbers I need.
I can,
Right.
yeah, I
And
can
he's
dig
not a good defensive rebounder. And I think everybody is trying to use that he's out on the perimeter thing as an excuse for Mitch. But Tom Thibodeau even said in one of his press conferences, he's coming along. His defensive rebounding is coming along. So they know that that's an issue for him.
Yeah.
Even a Clint Capella would be good.
Yo, Clint Capella's a double-double every season.
But also part of that is him being looked for as the lob threat. You know what I mean? Continuously too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
So-
yeah.
No doubt
yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get to Quentin Grimes. All right. He ended up being the starting two guard for the Knicks this season. Obviously with him starting and getting almost 30 minutes per game, all of his numbers are going to be higher, right? Points per game, 11.3, up from 6. Rebounds per game, 3.2, up from 2. Assists per game, 2.1, up from 1. And he shot better. He shot 46.8% from the field. He shot 38.6% from 3, both better than the previous season, 79.4% from the free throw line, and he did that in 30 minutes per game. And, of course, his season highlights is he set career highs in points per game, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, three-point percentage. Quentin Grimes, where you at with Quentin Grimes?
Now, these are his regular season numbers.
Regular season, not
Oh,
playoff,
yeah.
not playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say C for Quentin Grimes. I think defensively, if we were just talking about him defensively, I think it would be an A. Particularly the show he put on against Jimmy Butler in Game 5 when he played all 48 minutes. He was phenomenal. And I guess I don't know if I want to grade him so hard on the playoffs because this was his first time here. I just think he was just in a tough spot for the Knicks. Just not really ready for the moment. And yeah, he got injured as well, which was tough. I just think he just didn't shoot well throughout the playoffs. Basically, some of it was low volume. But even when he did get the volume, he just didn't shoot well. He just didn't shoot well for the Knicks. And sometimes he looked a little out of sorts, particularly in Miami. A few times he picked the ball up before he had anybody to pass it to. I think he was a little nervous, about handling the ball. So I'll give him a C plus. Let's add. I guess we can add a plus for Grimes. But I just thought Grimes was just totally outmatched in the playoffs.
Playoffs. Yeah, Grimes
Yeah.
in the playoffs averaged 5.1 points per game, 1.4 assists, 2.8 rebounds per game. Shot 30% from the field, and he shot 24% from the three-point line.
And how many
Just
minutes?
a regular C. Take the plus off. Just a regular C.
How many minutes then?
26.9 minutes per game. He played 9 playoff games. He started 6 of them.
Okay.
Yep. Tony, your thoughts on Quentin Grimes?
So I was ready to come out here and actually give him a C, and start the the below B grades on the team, but I'm actually gonna revert and I'm gonna give him a B. Part of it is you putting his numbers up, and me actually acknowledging his improvement based off the increased role and increased minutes. I think Queen had said something early in the season that at the time kind of threw me for a loop, but it stuck with me ever since. And it was, this is his second year. How much are we expecting from a year 2 player? Right. And, it resonated after she said it. And it kind of made me temper some of my individual expectations from him. And then just looking at, like I said, these numbers that you put up, I mean, he delivered in an increased role, right? For a year two guy, for what he was able to do. Um, and I really don't have no knock on his regular season, to be honest. Like, I think his regular season was great. You know what I mean? I wish he would have shot a little bit better, but 38%. I guess I don't know what I'm expecting from him. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, I got to give him credit when credit's due. And then, as bad as he was in the playoffs, you know, you got to put some perspective on it. First playoff series, right? Or first playoff performance ever, right? Increased role, young guy, and as bad as he played, that one play kind of evened out everything for me in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Like, you fell to the ground, got up, played your defense, got the steal, secured the win. I mean, that's cemented for me as a Knick moment in history. You know what I mean? Like, it's something I'm gonna talk about for years and years. So
no doubt.
That kept him in the B status for me and kept that ball rolling for us.
All right. Shuttle.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to give him a B. I mean, like, just to double down on your point about it being his second season, he missed almost half of the season the year before.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I don't want to say it's his first season, but, you know, he didn't even have a full first season.
Right.
So his first year as a starter, a team that plays a lot of ISO ball. I mean, over 46 from the field, over 38 from three. I mean, you could put those numbers up against any shooting guard in the league.
That's just 40% of the grade, though.
Right.
So, that being said, in the playoffs, he took the toughest assignments. And when you got 3 20-point scorers that are veterans on your team and you're new to the starting lineup, and your role to be the star in the role is to take on the most difficult challenge of the wing position, and you do that, I'm okay with your numbers going down a little bit, you know, because truth be told, if the other players were performing better to their ability, their expectations, his numbers and his impact wouldn't have been looked at so harshly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I gotta give him a B, man, because I mean, first season as a starter with this team, new piece in Brunson, Randle's ISO ball. You don't know when you're going to get it. He's probably scared to do something with it. Randle might beat him up.
Oh, you making that up.
Narrative. The narrative.
You making that up like crazy.
Yo, hold on. Let me pass it. I don't want no beef with Randle, you know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I got to give him a B.
Yeah.
Hey, Sim, can I add 2 things real quick?
Yeah.
He was able to break through that circle of trust from Tibbs, right? And earn a starting spot. So I think that gives him a couple of extra brownie points there. You know what I mean? That's a difficult task within itself. And then to Shuttle's point, you mentioned his defensive assignments. Yes, throughout the year, that is a fact. But let's name these guys when we talk about the playoff assignments. And Donovan Mitchell, you know what I mean? Let's name Darius Garland, who's no slouch. Let's name Jimmy Butler. You know what I mean? Let's name the type of guys that he had to go up against and was assigned to, just to put a little bit more.
Mitchell, you know what I mean? Mitchell All NBA, Butler All NBA. So, you know,
but does that mean that you can't hit it one shot because you guarding those guys? Is that what we're saying? Because you guarding those guys, you don't have to hit a shot. You could shoot 24% from 3. Come on.
No.
And the air ball on the. I mean, and some air ball. I don't know. No, I mean, I hear you. I hear you. I just think we giving them a lot of bail, though. A lot of bail.
Yeah, I mean, we ain't give them A's.
Well, I'm about to though. I'm about to give him an A for the regular season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the regular season, because I didn't expect that he was going to score 15, 16, 17 points per game. You know, it was really about the efficiency for me. And for him to shoot 47% from the field and 38.6 6% from three, and all of his shot attempts went up. His usage rate went up. You know what I mean? I think that's pretty good. And then the fact that he defended the best player night in and night out, played 71 games, defended the best player night in and night out. I think those are some big accomplishments for a guy who played 46 games in his rookie year and then came back and is the starter, became the starter in the second season. So, I really like what he did during the regular season. And then, you get into the playoffs and his numbers, his efficiency really, really dipped bad.
First playoffs.
First playoffs, definitely. First playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt.
His efficiency really dipped pretty bad. You know what I mean? So I'm like at a C- for the playoffs, because I felt like, he had a ton of open shots in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Him, RJ Barrett, all of these guys, they had a ton of open shots, but I'm not mad at him about it.
Right.
His first time being in the playoffs. He's a young guy. He's learning how to get that done. You know what I'm saying? But, it is what it is. So I'll give him like a C- for the playoffs, which probably averages out to about a B. You know what I'm saying? When you look at it in its entirety. So I'm, for the season, I'm giving him a B as well. For the entire season. But for the regular season, I think I give him an A. Well, I give him an A, and then for the postseason, like a C-. You know what I mean? But for when I look at those efficiency numbers, man, 46.8% from the field, 38.6% from three, 79% from the free throw line. I think those are pretty good numbers right there.
Yeah, I agree.
Really good numbers. So it's definitely looking up for Quentin Grimes. And I seen him do some things this year that I was questioning, could he do? I seen him a few times, especially later on in the season, start to go off, like when Randle was out. You know what I mean? And so he had a little bit more of the scoring responsibility. I seen him, be able to take the ball off the dribble a little bit and create a couple of times, create for himself. So, Trav B. Ryan, I forgot, for his season highlights, the Rising Stars game. Forgot all about that. You know what I mean? How you represented in the Rising Stars game. So, I think he, I think he had a really great regular season. Playoffs, struggled a little bit, but what do you expect? You know what I mean? From his first time being in the playoffs. So Quentin Grimes gets a B for the season, and the season includes the playoffs. You know what I mean? The only thing with Grimes is, depending on what happens this summer, teams are probably going to say, well, yeah, we might want that guy. You know what I mean? Depending on who becomes available this summer. With the way the playoffs are going, you never know who might become available this summer.
Right.
Allegedly, that's what they said already, right?
What I mean? What?
They want Grimes. Allegedly, that's,
right,
you know what I mean? That was what they said already.
Right. 27 said, talked about his airball layup. Yes, that was a stain, but he made it up when he got that steal on Jimmy Butler. You know what I mean? That was bad though when he. Oh my God! I was like, what's happening? How do you airball that layup right there? Like you had a finger roll right there. You airball it. What's going on?
Looking like Big Bubba out there.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here you go. Now we get to the one.
No commercial break and nothing.
No commercial break. We're going right to it. You know what I'm saying? This would be the time to go on a commercial break, right? We'll getting right to it. We getting right to it, ladies and gentlemen. Julius Randle. You already know. You know what I mean? This is when the chat goes for theirs. Julius Randle. Let's take a look at it.
Did you put an F in the poll? You didn't, right?
Nah.
You might want to modify it.
Nah,
Nah,
like
ain't no way. I mean, come on. You know what I'm saying? If that's the case, people are just anyway. Julius Randle from 21-22 to 22-23. Points per game went from 20 to 25. Rebounds basically stayed the same at 10. Assists went down from 5.1 to 4.1. Field goal percentage, 41.1%. This number is not right. His field goal percentage went to 45.9%, and his three-point percentage went to 54.3%. I'm going to fix that. All right. And then his minutes are his free throw percentage is like 71% or something like that. And his minutes are 35 minutes per game. I'm going to fix this. First, let me go over the season highlights, and then I'll start with Steph, and then I'll fix all those numbers there. Second NBA All-Star team this year, third team All-NBA, highest points per game in his career. He advanced on the Knicks all-time list in a few categories, and he struggled in the playoffs. All right.
Again,
right? Struggled in the playoffs. Steph?
I'm gonna do what you did, Sam. I'm gonna give him an A in the regular season, and I'm gonna give him a C plus in the in the playoffs. And probably give him a B minus overall. And overall. I know the regular season. I know we're putting a lot into the playoffs, and as well we should.
60%.
But that regular season was one for the ages, man.
You had a good one.
And I don't want to gloss over that. And particularly how he rebounded from last season with his emotionality.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was huge for him. And now in hindsight, when you look at the times when he did get a tech or whatever, it's just in hindsight, it's just not as big a deal as we thought it was, or at least I thought it was at the moment.
Right.
I just thought, and a matter of fact, I think we needed some of that energy and being on edge in the playoffs. He might have played better. But that regular season was just off the charts. The playoffs, he struggled. I think the injury was a little bit of a factor, not just the ankle, but probably the injury, in Cleveland with the Josh Allen falling on the side might have been an issue. And then also, like we talked about earlier, you can scheme better for him, better against him because he just plays in less space, than the guards or the forwards. All of that being said, I just thought that he looked a bit off. His energy wasn't, obviously I know his energy waxes and wanes anyway, but he just didn't play with the edge we know Randle to play with. So that was off a little bit. And even though he didn't shoot it well, he didn't score it well, I thought there were other ways in which he could have contributed in terms of getting on the boards. And I don't know if his ankle, was an issue there. And then defensively, not even so much taking plays off, but just his positioning sometimes just looked off. He just looked off. So I'm gonna give him a C plus for the playoffs. There were games when he did show up for us, and so I think overall I would say for the entire season I'm gonna say B minus.
Okay, all right. Early in the Miami series, I asked Tony, did he think Randle was scared? Because when I watched him, I was just like, what is he doing? He's, he didn't have the same energy. You know what I mean? Even in the Cleveland series, when he wasn't shooting the ball well, the energy was there. You know what I'm saying? But in Miami, it just felt like it just wasn't there. You know what I mean? And I was watching ESPN today, and they were showing Jimmy Butler, in Miami after they scored a shot, middle of the game still, taking pictures and things like that, and all of the Boston players walking past Jimmy Butler while he's doing it. You know what I'm saying? And Kendrick Perkins was like, Miami is punking them. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of felt like that with Julius Randle a little bit in the Miami series. You know what I'm saying? That he wasn't, he didn't feel like he was tougher than them. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's kind of the way I felt about it. Tony, your thoughts?
Oh man, so I agree. A+ on that regular season, phenomenal. Queen is so tough to talk behind you. You know what I
Sorry
mean?
about
Because
that. Next time you can go first.
It is what it is. I'm used to it. You know what I mean? I just got to reiterate, some great points and the bounce back. You know what I mean? The bounce back from a year ago to this past year. You know what I mean? When almost everybody counted them out. Everybody feeling like, oh, there's no recovering from what happened the previous year, with the fans and etc. And again, he did it. He did it. So this was now 2 times where he has a bounce back that is unexpected from, what I mean, us as fans and, outside of the Knicks community as well. So I gotta commend that. You know what I mean? And then it's not just the regular bounce back. The numbers were better. It was better than the initial All-Star year, the initial All NBA year. So you know what I mean? You can't discredit that regular season. And then, I'm not here to shoot him bail and talk about the injuries and all that either, because, like Sim said, if you out there and you playing, then that you negated that excuse. You can use that excuse when you don't play. You know what I mean? But once you're on that floor, it is what it is. But all that being said, still got faith in them. But the playoffs was, the lowest grade we going is D. So I got to go D. And that balances out right in between A and D for the year. I'm not gonna use this 60% metric on this particular one, because it'll bring them, under.
Tony's graded on a curve.
It gotta give him a little bit of curve. It was a phenomenal regular season.
No
you know
doubt.
what I mean? Phenomenal. So I'm gonna keep it at a C though. You know what I mean? Lowest grade of the starters, because he's that important for us in that postseason.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we needed him.
Yeah, no doubt about it. DJ Shuttle.
Randall's emotionality is his reality. I think, to your point, Sim, he against Miami, it might have been a little overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland is Cleveland. Like, I'm not overwhelmed against going to Cleveland. I mean, minus the LeBron James Cavs, the Cavs really have no history. There's no cachet. There's no D Wade. There's no lore that you get when you're playing against the Cavaliers, respectfully. But when you play against the Miami Heat, you got the Heatles, you got D Wade, you got Shaq, you got Pat Riley, you got Spoelstra. I mean, you got Kyle Lowry, you got Kevin Love, you got all these guys over there, and you got Jimmy Butler. So I just feel like, Randle just like, this would have been great when I mentioned earlier about having somebody like Carmelo on the team.
Right.
This would have been a time when you got somebody like that can help calm you down, help you relax from a player pure perspective. Like, nah, you got this. You can do it. Like, RJ, Obi Toppin, and quickly telling you that don't got the same level of impact.
Right.
And for all things that Randle is as a positive performer on the court, he's not a guy that I look at as mentally stable. And he needs, if he's gonna stay on his team, he's gonna need somebody better than him around him, in addition to Brunson. So we need 2 people better than Brunson, and he needs to be the third wheel on the car. So, but all that being said, I still got to give him a B. Just the ability to bounce back from last season, to put up, the numbers he did. But that playoffs was utterly disappointing. If he was injured or not, I don't know. I don't want to downplay the injury, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't want to hear about it because he was out there.
Yeah.
And that Matador defense was just it made me cringe.
Yeah.
So he's this close to getting the C, but I'm gonna let him live with it be.
Yeah. For the regular season, I'm with Tony and everybody. I mean, for the regular season, how can you not give him an A+ for the regular season? Right. And what's a little bit more impressive about the regular season for me is when I look at his shooting numbers, that's more in the line of what I would expect from Julius Randle than the first year he made the All-NBA, right? 45.9% from the field, 34% from three. To me, those are numbers that make a little bit more sense to me from Julius Randle than the numbers that he put up in that year when he shot 42% from the three-point line. You know what I'm saying? So these become numbers that you say, all right, this is probably where he is on the efficiency level, which is not bad. I'd like to see the number, the field goal percentage number get up to, back up to 47, 48%, from the field. It was an incredible bounce back from, the season before, like you all said. Nobody thought he was going to be able to bounce back the way that he did. And he did. I think if he's going to go, I don't know where people rank him in the league as far as a player, but if he's going to go to the next level, he's got to know that it's the playoffs that's going to take him there. You know what I mean? That's it. It's the playoffs that's going to take him there. He's at the point now, because he's made 2 All-NBA teams, you know what I mean? He's been on the All-Star team where people are not going to care about that. You cannot make the All-Star team. The only thing people are going to care about is what you do in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And he can look at Jimmy Butler for real, right? Jimmy Butler hasn't had the greatest of seasons, but performs in the playoffs. But you can go back and look at some of his playoff performances, and he's had some bad playoff performances. And I'm talking about 15 points per game in the playoff performances, and with Miami. And I'm not even talking about when he was a rookie. I'm talking about with Miami. He's had playoff performances like that, or at least one. So he can look at a guy like Jimmy Butler and say, okay, if I keep my head here, maybe I can perform in the playoffs too. Because there's multiple guys they've had great playoff performances, then they've had really subpar. So far in the playoffs twice, and he's had subpar performances. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's, he can at least be able to look to that. But if he wants to take his game to another level, he's got to show up in the playoffs. You know what I mean? If he doesn't, then, if he doesn't show up in the playoffs next year, then, you already know what it is. You know what I mean? You already know what it is. So Julius Randle in the playoffs this season, let me get it up here. Talk about what the averages were before I get my grade real quick. Julius Randle in the playoffs this season, 16.6 points per game, just about 10 points below his season's average, 8.3 rebounds, 3.6 assists per game, right? Shot 25.8% from the three-point line, and he shot 37% from the field.
And Sim, to your point, well, I don't know if this is to your point, but my point is when you say he got to play well in the playoffs, I agree, but it don't have to be all NBA. It don't got, you know what I mean? You can't go down in every statistical category and be inefficient, worse in every statistical you know what I mean? Like, so I think there's a realm where, you could dominate rebounding if your shot is not falling. You know what I mean? You could dominate in other areas and still have a adequate series, and you're not gonna get killed for it. You know what I mean? But this, you know what I mean, where everything is down, all across the board. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that.
And I think for the hardcore fan, like what you're saying is like, okay, you know what? You're not, it's hard for you to get your shot off. You're not hitting your shot, whatever it is, but you're doing these other things. But I think like for just like his career, if he wants to go to the next level, he's got to show up. You know what I'm saying? He's got to show up. But I'm with you. I'm like a A plus, for the regular season. C minus, D plus, somewhere around there for the playoffs. Probably I'm thinking around a B when you put it all together. B minus, all together. You know what I'm saying? But he's got to figure the playoff thing out.
No doubt.
He's really got to figure it out.
I just wanted to piggyback off of something DJ Shuttle said. When I talk about emotionality, I'm talking about him being all out of control. But emotionality could just be how to regulate your energy, period. Like, it's just giving me a different way to think about it. Because in the playoffs, particularly in that Miami series, maybe, like you said, Sim, something clicked and he just felt like, I ain't gonna even be able to do it here, and didn't even try. It seemed like didn't even put out the effort that we would expect in this series. So yeah, it's like regulating your emotion. Maybe it's not even about being out of control. It's also about not going all the way the other way, as well.
Yeah.
Which it seemed like in at least in the Miami series.
Yeah.
It seemed a classic case of when you say a person is there, but they're not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like like his body was there, but his mind,
he wasn't always present. And
was at home with the kid.
In Miami, something about them, they're doing it to these. I mean, Jason Tatum and Jalen Brown is looking the same way.
Man, we about
what's
to talk
going
about
on, man?
Yeah.
I'm listening to their press conference, and I know they're down 3-0, but they're not even like, you know what? We just gonna go one game at a time. It's not over till it's over. They're like, I apologize to the fans.
It's over.
Like it's over already.
Right. They're like, I apologize to the fans. This is embarrassing. I'm like, yo, like, where's your heart? Yo, at least say we gonna fight. We not going down like this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I feel like, some of that happened in that series with Miami, with Julius Randle, for real. You know what I mean? He couldn't just bulldoze or over Bam Adebayo. You know what I mean? And get in there. You know what I'm saying? What's his name? The dude with the bald head and the goggles.
Zeller.
Zeller, even early in the series. You know what I'm saying? He's pushing Randle down to the to the stanchion and standing over him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Randle's looking up laughing or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But
he not playing scared.
It wasn't like, let me stand up and stand my ground. You know what I mean? It was, and I know it's a tough situation because he's like, I can't stand, if I stand up and stand my ground and fight or whatever it is, I get thrown out. I'm more important to my team than Cody Zeller is to his team.
Exactly. I hate to quote Jay-Z on the Nas fan channel, but you know what I mean? If I shoot you, if you shoot me, you famous. If I shoot you, I'm brainless.
Right.
It's the same premise.
You know
if I react, I'm too valuable for this.
Yeah, thing. but there was just it was just missing. Like he wasn't talking to the refs, complaining to the refs like he normally does.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It was missing. It was missing.
He wasn't smacking his coach's clipboards.
It was right. It was missing. You know what I'm saying? And you needed that. You needed it from him. Hopefully, the one thing that I take is that Randle has been able to show that he's been able to learn, and kind of figure it out how to come back stronger. So hopefully, he's able to come back stronger and figure out how to do it. The guy has a lot of talent. If he can just get this upstairs,
no doubt.
Right?
If Randle comes back, and I say if because anything is possible,
mm-hmm.
I look at the the Miami Heat and I look at how Spoelstra is ripping into Jimmy Butler. Did you guys see that? Jimmy Butler's coming to the sideline. Spoelstra's ripping into him. And like, yo, that's the level of coaching that Randle needs. I was reading and watching an article with Butler. He was talking about how when he came into the league and he was a rookie, and whether it was the coaches or Noah or Dang or other players on the team, yo, D Rose, yo, you got to do so and so. Like D Rose. You know what I'm saying? Like he's like, yo, they violating Derrick Rose. How they talking to him like that? And then he saw at the end of practice, it was all love. In the next game, it was all love, and it was a certain level of accountability, and it made him a tougher person, and it made him address things the way he addresses things, which is probably what led to that situation in Minnesota. But the bigger point is, because of that, he allows himself to be coached hard, not take it personal, and move on. And that's what Randle needs now. He needs to be able to accept being coached hard, and a coach has to be able to coach him hard. That's the only way you're going to get the maximum, ability out of this guy.
I feel you. You know.
Can I just say this part
yep.
though? Oh, sorry. I think we underestimate when we talk about holding players accountable. I think we underestimate how much the league has changed and how much power players have. So Spo, Pop, those guys, they can really get into players because they have the backing of their front office. How did that work out for Nate McMillan when he was trying to hold Trae Young accountable, or Doc Rivers? And I'm not saying this is why Doc Rivers got fired, when he was trying to hold Harden accountable. These guys, players, have relationships with upper management, sometimes even owners. And so the coaches are sometimes in a precarious position in terms of how much can I really blast into a guy? How much can I really say about a guy? He has more leverage than I do because he knows such and such and such a person. Now, Tibbs, he has Leon Rose. He has those guys. So maybe he's able to do that. But I think Randle and Dolan are pretty tight, from what I understand. So my point, the major point is, it's a players' league, and sometimes the coach doesn't have the autonomy to do that. And player really, if you lose your best player or one of your best players, that could be the end of you. Had Harden through some support around Doc, maybe Doc is still here.
Yeah.
And the accountability, I think, two things. It could be, it doesn't always have to be on Front Street, because you know what I mean. When it is in the public, it becomes something that everybody could talk about, and it becomes something bigger than the actual issue. And I forgot my other point. I lost it, but you know what I mean. I'll come back to it if I remember.
Yeah.
My bad.
I mean, but see, I agree with what you said going back, Shuttle. Randle needs that vet guy. Even though he's a young vet himself, he still needs that guy that's 33, 35, 38, or whatever, the Udonis Haslem type of guy. You know what I mean? Because Derrick Rose, while he's not that kind of guy that's gonna say anything. You know what I mean? He's not that kind of guy. But you need like that he needs that Udonis Haslem type of guy on this team that's not afraid to get him straight. Right? Like you seen Udonis Haslem do with Jimmy Butler last year or whenever it was, right? When he was ready to fight Jimmy Butler because Jimmy Butler was coming at Spo.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so Udonis Haslem, right? Yep. Udonis Haslem wasn't letting it go down. He was the protector. The Knicks need one of them guys, I think, for Randle, and that's why you have a guy like Udonis Haslem around. You know what I mean? The Knicks don't have that.
Even when Melo was here, then
Rasheed Wallace.
when they had the playoff run, you got Rasheed Wallace
Right.
to help keep things in line.
Right. You got
Man,
Rasheed
that
Wallace and them
that
dudes.
team was full of them though. We
Yeah,
had
it was
Kurt
full of them
Thomas,
dudes. Kurt
You know
Thomas.
what I mean? Kurt Thomas, he'll set
Right,
somebody
right.
straight. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there was
What's in the coach?
right. What's in the
He'll
coach?
set somebody straight.
Yep. Yeah, they was full of those guys. You know what I mean? And the Knicks don't have any. They don't have any of those guys. And I think I don't know where to get one, but I think they need one. I think they need one. You know what I'm saying? But overall, and even looking at the chat, you know, Julius Randle, actually 17% of the chat says Randle, 16% of the chat says Randle gets an A. 62% says B, 16% says a C, and 5% says a D. And, you know, yeah, I don't know where the D is coming in, but, no.
I'm surprised he got the B's, though.
I'm surprised he got the B's, too.
Those scores are higher than I thought he would get.
I thought he was going to be somewhere around a C, you know, in the chat, but, you know.
That's because they know where they at. They on MVK. You know what I mean?
Right. But
we got the best fans in the world right here.
No doubt. So Julius Randle gets a B, ladies and gentlemen. And so the chat can no longer say, you know, I'm just, you know, a Randle protector. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all gave him a B too.
Right.
You know what I mean? So y'all gave him a B too. But I don't know. You know, Randle's an enigma. I mean, Randle's an enigma. He's got all the talent, but you know, if he can just get it right mentally and emotionally, you know what I mean? Who knows where he could take his game? You know, who knows where he could take his game? I'm assuming he's going to be here next year. I think it's probably 90%. But if somebody comes available, obviously, I don't think they would hesitate to move him if somebody came available and, you know, Julius Randle was what needed to happen in order for them to get moved, in order for that person to come to the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they would hesitate to make that move. But for the most part, you know, I'm assuming that Julius Randle is going to be a Knick next season. And, you know, I think if he's going to go to the next level, I think he's really got to work on get that mid-range game floating. You know, because teams are going to – I mean, Bam Adebayo said it the other day, you know, in his post-game press conference after they played the Knicks. He was like, that was our whole game plan. You know, we were going to send double or triple teams after him. And then when he got in the air to shoot the ball, we were sending two, contesting the shot. If he thought he was open, we were sending two at him. You know what I'm saying? Anytime he touched foot in the paint, boom, we was clamping in on him to get him out of there. You know? So in order to combat that, he needs a mid-range game.
Well,
you know?
If I could just quickly just touch him, I think his biggest weakness is his ball IQ and decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes too long to make the play too often. And it's like he's thinking, well, let me hold it. I'm going to survey it. Two people going to come. I'm going to figure out a move. I'll dribble a couple of times and find somebody and pass it. And those are the plays that lead to the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And if he got rid of the ball faster and could see the plays 2 steps ahead of them happening, you know, he could probably get the ball back more in an advantageous opportunity to score instead of just holding on to it.
Right. And, you know, he did some of it this year, you know, playing faster, but it wasn't consistent all the way throughout the season. So hopefully, you know, it's something that's growing where he can be consistently just play that type of, I'm going to make a quick decision, you know what I mean, and live it. Because when he made quick decisions, for the most part, he made the right decision. Or he was just, they couldn't stop him going to the basket or whatever it is. Even in the playoffs, when he decided, I'm not thinking, I'm just going, you know, good things happened. And hopefully he continued, you know, it grows and that continues to be a big part of his basketball game.
I think that happened more when Hart joined the team, and you got to have other players like that on the team. You know, Brunson's a lot of ISO, RJ's a lot of ISO, but Hart is the guy that gets the ball up, passes it around, look for people quickly, and you need more players like that, and it helps to just make the team play more like that. So I think when Hart joined, he played more to that style, and I'm hoping Hart returns, and we can get him to do that. So
Yeah. So
yeah,
okay. We'll see.
get the
Paris
ball up, get the
Pa-
ball up.
Paris Douglas said Tibbs or Randall has to change or we're doomed. I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? I think I don't think we're doomed. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, I don't think either one of them is going to be changed for next season. I think you're coming right into the season with both of those guys. The Knicks are going to look to add, some other smaller pieces, more shooting. Unless something really opens up, I don't think the Knicks are going to force it and just try to add anybody to appease fans, right? If they're going to make a move, I think it's going to be the right move. You know what I mean? Or they, what they consider to be the right move. I don't think they're just gonna, oh yeah, we're just gonna throw Randall out there, for a baseball bat. That's not gonna happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If they're moving Randall, in my opinion, they're moving Randall because they feel like they're getting back, top 5, top 10 guy. That's what I think. The only way that they're moving Julius Randle. So if I was you, I'd get used to him, coming back for next season. Anything could happen. Anyone could come available, but I would say it's probably 90% that he's coming back next season. But anyway, that was the starting 5, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to do Wednesday, we're going to do the bench and the situational players. Then on Thursday, we're going to do the coaching staff, the front office. We'll give out most valuable players, MIPs, 6 man of the year, and whatever awards we want to give out too. The last thing I guess I want to ask, how do you view this starting 5, Steph? Just the entire group. What do you think about it?
I think it's unbalanced. I think we got to get more shooting in that starting lineup, and not just more shooting. I think we need flanking Brunson, that 2 and 3 spot. We need more shooting, ball handling, and defense. Now with Grimes, if Grimes is in that spot, the defense is there already. But flanking Brunson, you got to have ball handlers, you got to have defenders, and you got to have shooters. I think if we have shooters with Randle and Brunson, that puts a lot of pressure on the defense. They're going to have to choose. You're not going to be able to load up on those guys if you have dependable shooters. You're going to have to pick. And to me, I think that's the single most thing the Knicks need to do this offseason. And I don't think it's about bringing them in around the edges, because the rotation, I believe, is going to stay at 9. So if you're bringing in shooters, those guys are either going to, who are there now, either going to move to the second unit, move out the rotation, or move off the team. Like, you need dependable shooters at that 2 and 3 spot. And if you get that with Brunson and Randle, now we're talking a whole different ball game. And you can even keep Mitch back there.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, though, if you get some real perimeter defenders and Randle decides that, you know what, I'm going to play defense, I think you can get away with a little more offensive-minded center as well. So what I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is, I think it's clunky. I think we got too many guys who like to play in the key and not enough shooters to open it up for those guys.
So do you think this group comes back, or do you think they're going to look to make changes to this group?
I think they're going to look to make changes. Obviously, like you just said, I don't think they're going to do something just to do it. And if they can't find what they're looking for, they're going to bring it back.
Right.
But I think that they need to really push to upgrade the shooting guard and small forward position. And we'll talk about this later. And this is the big question. RJ Barrett played very well in the playoff, but to either you or Shuttle's point, there wasn't a difference in his skill. Wasn't a difference in his skill set. He just finished better. I think we need a different skill set at that small forward position. We need dependable shooting and defense at that small forward position. And as well as RJ Barrett played in the playoffs, can he become that?
Right. Okay. All right. Tony, your thoughts, man. Do you think your thoughts about the starting lineup?
I'm gonna assume we're bringing everybody back, and even with that assumption, I'm still gonna say encouraged. Like that would be my word for the starting five. A lot of it has to do, again with the continued development of Grimes.
Mm-hmm.
But looking at the jump that he made from year one to year two with the increased role and seemingly earning that role, you know what I mean? It not being given to him, him actually earning it. I'm encouraged that more volume from him may result in that shooting that we need. You know what I mean? Again, just looking at the games all year long, I would have thought he underproduced. Sim, you putting them numbers up on the screen, and what was it, 38%?
38% from the three.
I mean, 38% from to me, I'm like, now we're talking about actual marginal improvement and just maybe some increased volume, which I think he's capable of. I think he could be, a real piece to our continued success and development. I'm also basing this off of a bounce. I don't even want to call it a bounce back year for Randle, but just even if he don't make All NBA, that type of performance where you in that conversation again.
Yeah.
Even if you don't make the All Star, where you in that conversation where they got to think about, oh man, should we get him in again or not? You know what I mean? But that type of production moving forward, and then the way Randle, I'm sorry, RJ ended the season, and Mitch's contribution obviously in round one, I gotta say those things are encouraging for me. RJ is really about a consistent full year. We've been talking about that. He starts off slow. No more of that. Let's kill that narrative. Let's put that underground. Start the season strong and get better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Start at your floor, or start at your I don't want to say ceiling, but start on a high note and then continue to get better. I don't want to hear this slow start. You know what I mean? But those things happen. I think we'll be right back where we were. And maybe even in a little bit better position.
Okay. All right. Shuttle.
I think it's an average starting lineup that overachieved this year. And when you're relying on offensive rebounding and hustle plays, like that's cool. But like the NBA is about skill sets. You know what I mean? So like we have to have improved shooting and improved scoring, improved offensive efficiency, improved passing, improved ball handling, improved ball movement. And I just don't know if we have the players and the coach that can create this environment. We have a center that has no moves, that can't handle, that can't shoot. We have our best player in Brunson, who's clutch, dependable, reliable, but doesn't have the players around him to maximize his game. I don't think, if Grimes improves his shooting, he's that type of player. But like to me, RJ Barrett is not a shooter. He can get buckets. He's like, to me, he's a power forward masquerading in a small forward / shooting guard's body. RJ Barrett's a power forward. That's what he plays like. So I think it's an average team that overachieved. And, if we come back with it, I mean, bench mob is going to have to really make a huge difference. And, my hope is that we do shake it up a little bit and we add something better to the lineup.
See, I actually don't think it's average lineup.
You think it's below average?
No, I think it's above average.
Oh.
I think it's above average. Yeah, I think it's above average.
I'm just
I mean,
checking.
you know, I look at it. 3/5 of the starting lineup has been here since, you know,
3 years.
right. You know what I mean? And when they actually became a good basketball team in 2020 or whatever it was, 2 years ago, right? You know, 3/5 of that lineup has, you know, has been on this basketball team, and then they added Brunson. You added Quentin Grimes to it, and I think, you know, the 1 year that they were down, I mean, they still won 37 games, and you know, you could argue if some people stay healthy, they probably win 42 games or something like that. You know what I mean? So I think the addition of Brunson, I mean, I think this team is still next season. If it were to come back just the way it is with this starting lineup, I think the Knicks could win between 45 and 50 games still. Right? So that's where I think this team still is. I would like to see, I want shooting. I would like, in addition to the wing position, right? Where, you know, you can get someone, and hopefully you can get all of this in one guy, but you know, it's probably asking for a whole lot to get it in one guy, right? But someone who can shoot the ball, who can help handle the basketball, and who can play defense. Because I thought Miami really exposed our lack of ball handling, especially without Emmanuel quickly there. I thought our lack of ball handling really, really, really showed. You know what I'm saying? Because Miami was pressing us all different kinds of ways, and you know, we didn't have anyone that can really help out. And I mean, you have people that can bring the ball up the floor, but there's more to ball handling than that. So I guess maybe, you know, another strong playmaker, because there's more to it than that, right? Okay, I'm getting the ball up the floor, and then when they get it up the floor, they're fighting to try to get it to Brunson. You know what I'm saying? Because the only person that they're confident in creating anything is Brunson. You know what I mean? So I think, you know, we need another guy that can do some of that. You know, so that if a team tries to pressure Brunson out of the game, say, okay, pressure him out the game. We'll create over here. You know what I'm saying? And can you get all of that in one guy? That's a tough task. You know, you're talking about an all-star level player probably if you're getting all of that in one guy. So I don't know, you know, how much you can. You know what I'm saying? But I think that's one of the biggest things that we need on this team. The shooting, obviously, you know, the shooting will open up so much for this basketball team. I feel if you get some guys that can just knock it down, it will open up so much for this team. You know, we'll see. I'm pretty sure they're going to be busy and looking to see what's out there. But, ladies and gentlemen,
Sound like you're talking about OG to me.
hey, he fits the bill.
It sounded like you talking about.
He fits the bill. I mean, in every aspect, right?
Who's that?
OG Anunoby.
OG.
I mean, he basically fits the bill in all aspects. You know what I mean?
He brings it up on Toronto. He starts the offense sometimes. He plays defense on the wings. He leads the league in steals. He shoots a good percentage from three. I mean, he shoots what Grimes shot from three.
Yeah. We'll see.
You know, 83 from the line. I mean, you know, but that's a different.
Yeah.
Different call.
The different show.
Different show.
Different show. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna get up out of here. Tony, you still going on? I know it's a little bit past. What time you going on?
I'm gonna push it back 10 minutes. So
10
let's
minutes.
say
Okay.
11:10.
11:10, ladies and gentlemen. Come on over to Knicks and Bruises so we can talk a little bit some more about the Knicks in another capacity. All right. Paris Duggar, thank you again for the super chat. He said Mike Conley, KP, and DeRozan solves our weaknesses. I'm not big on KP.
And it adds some weaknesses too.
Yeah. I'm not feeling the KP thing. I'm really not. I'm way past Kristaps Porzingis. You know what I mean? I don't want to be upset that he's only played 10 games in the season. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to do that at all. I do like Mike Conley. But, I don't know. DeRozan, he
like
fits
DeRozan.
that 3 spot. It's just, does he shoot the 3
Right.
enough?
Right.
Is he that kind of shooter? But he does fit that spot there at the 3. Because he can create, he can handle the ball. Obviously, he can score. He does a lot there at that 3 spot.
I tell you what, Sim, a made 2 is more than a missed 3.
Yeah.
And that boy mid range is
I feel you.
deadly.
It is. But we still, I still think we got to spread that floor open. If you're gonna bring in DeRozan, Mitch got to go.
Right.
And get a center that can spread the floor. I'll say that. That's what I would think. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you catch us on Wednesday. Where we're gonna do the bench and situational players. Thursday, the coaches, the front office, and MIP, MVP, all of that kind of stuff, and whatever other kind of award we can think of. All right. Any last words from anybody before we get out of here?
Go Knicks.
That's it.
Go front office at this point.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Go front
Leon
office.
Rose.
Do your
Let's go,
thing.
Scott Perry.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly.
It's gonna be a weird off season. I'll tell you that much.
Now,
You know what I mean? The anticipation is not there, but I feel like there's room for so many maneuvers throughout the league that something has to affect the Knicks.
Yeah.
In some capacity.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now, Paris Duggar, if you talk about KP off the bench, I'm willing to. I can rock with that. I can rock with KP coming off the bench. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, he's starter level talent, though.
Right.
You know what I mean? He is. But I could definitely rock with KP coming off the bench. Anyway, I'm out of here, folks. Make sure you catch us on Knicks and Bruises in about 10 minutes. Peace.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.